Welcome back to the Deep Dive, the place where we take that fire hose of information that hits us every day.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is. And we try to distill it down, find those golden nuggets of knowledge, those insights you need to feel, properly well informed.
That feeling of connecting the dots. Yeah.
Exactly. That satisfying feeling of seeing the bigger picture. Today, we're doing something a little different. We've got a stack of headlines, all from a single day, Sunday, July 27th, 2025, and we're going to really unpack them. Think of it like a lightning-fast tour, but still really thorough through some pretty significant global and domestic developments.
Right.
And we'll bring our usual deep dive analysis, trying to understand not just what happened, but the why. Why does it matter? What might it mean going forward?
And it's a really fascinating snapshot of just one day, isn't it? A Sunday. You've got everything from like raw resilience on a cricket pitch to these big calculated geopolitical moves. Then there are critical shifts in national identity being discussed, and also some pretty sobering reminders about public safety.
We're definitely going to pull apart each of these stories, try to give you that comprehensive picture, connecting those threads that might not be immediately obvious, essentially just diving into the news together.
Sounds good.
So looking at this stack, what jumps out at you first? Let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Okay, kicking us off, let's talk about this incredible display of grit. We're on the cricket field, Manchester.
Right. The fourth test. England versus India.
Exactly. And Team India secured what's being called a hard-fought draw. Now, a draw. Sometimes that sounds a bit anticlimactic, maybe.
It can, yeah. Not a win, not a loss.
But in this context, it was absolutely celebrated. They're calling it a moral win.
Yeah.
And there's some really compelling reasons why.
Definitely. The circumstances were just brutal for India.
Immense pressure,
Yeah.
a whole slew of injuries hitting them hard. And right out of the gate, like day one.
Yeah, Rishabh Pant, their star wicketkeeper batsman.
A foot fracture. Gone. Just like that.
That's a monumental blow. I mean, it shifts the entire dynamic of the match instantly. You've got to recalculate everything. How does a team even begin to recover from something like that so early on?
Well, that's where this story gets interesting, isn't it? Adversity reveals character, as they say. And the Indian captain, Shubman Gill, apparently really stepped up, led from the front.
His second innings century was pivotal. It wasn't just, runs on the board. It felt like the bedrock of their resistance.
Right. It steadied the ship, absorbed that pressure, laid the foundation for the draw.
And it really highlights how a captain's performance, especially when things are tough, can just galvanize the whole team. It gives them belief.
Yeah.
Sets that example.
It's more than just the score. It's that psychological boost. Your leader is still fighting.
Exactly.
But it wasn't just Gill carrying the whole thing, was it?
Yeah.
The sources really emphasized this partnership between Ravindra Jadeja and Washington Sundar.
Oh, yeah. Decisive. Almost heroic, you could say.
They batted through the final two sessions, both reaching centuries. Against, relentless English attack, trying to force a win.
That's incredible pressure.
And we talk about Gill's brilliance providing that initial stability, but was it really his century alone that saved the day? Or was it more about these guys, Jadeja and Sundar, absorbing all that pressure for hours on end?
That's a great point. I'd argue while Gill set the stage, gave them that initial belief, the resilience became truly collective, like undeniable. When Jadeja and Sundar dug in like that, their partnership under that intense pressure was what fundamentally saw off the remaining overs and actually secured the draw. It wasn't just hanging on. They dominated those sessions in their own way.
It shows the depth, doesn't it, when others step up so commandingly.
Absolutely. It proves the team's strength isn't just reliant on one or two stars. And Gill mentioned afterwards they had this ball-by-ball mentality.
Right, just focus on the next delivery, especially on a day 5 pitch, which can be really unpredictable.
And that's not just a sports cliche, is it? It's a real psychological discipline. Breaking down this huge, overwhelming challenge into tiny, manageable bits, it makes the impossible feel possible.
Yeah, definitely. And there's that interesting moment near the end, too.
With Ben Stokes.
Yeah, the England captain. He apparently offered a draw while Jadeja and Sundar were still in their 80s.
Right. And India declined.
They said no. Gill explained later he felt the batters deserved to get their hundreds. Personal milestones mattered.
Which is fascinating. It's not just about the result, but acknowledging the effort, but it's also a bit of a psychological play, isn't it?
How so?
Well, refusing the draw offer, letting your guys get their hundreds, it subtly asserts India's self-belief. Like, we're not just scrambling for a draw here, we're controlling this phase. It sets a mental marker for the final test at the Oval.
Good point. So that moral win isn't just about feeling good. It has tangible benefits.
Absolutely. The source says it's expected to boost team morale ahead of the final test. That long-term psychological impact showing character, strategic thinking, adaptability under pressure that carries forward.
And those leadership qualities Gil showed strategic clarity, trust in his players. They apply way beyond sports.
Yeah.
Business, any field where you face adversity.
Definitely.
So for you listening, this isn't just a cricket match report. It's a powerful story about resilience, strategy, team spirit against the odds, how character can turn tough situations around.
A real masterclass in turning adversity into an advantage, in a way.
Okay, so speaking of strategy and advantage, let's shift from the cricket pitch to the global economic stage. A very different kind of game being played there.
With potentially even higher stakes, yeah.
We're talking about U.S. President Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He's reaffirmed this August 1st tariff deadline.
Right, speaking from Scotland, during talks with EU officials.
And he was emphatic. It
Yeah.
applies universally. No extensions, no exemptions, period.
So all those new trade deals, except the existing steel and aluminum ones, they kick in August 1st.
It's a very firm line in the sand for global trade partners. No ambiguity there.
And it's critical to understand the administration's rationale, the why behind this stance.
Which is?
Trump pointed to those existing tariffs on steel and aluminum. He claimed they've generated hundreds of billions of dollars.
Hundreds of billions. Wow.
That's the claim. And that this money, or the policy itself, has directly spurred domestic investment in manufacturing. He mentioned new steel mills, aluminum plants, even AI centers and auto factories.
So that's their core argument. It works, it boosts the U.S. economy, brings investment home.
Exactly. It's framed as successful industrial revitalization and a revenue source. And Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick doubled down on this.
How so?
He was on Fox News, said point blank, no more grace periods, no more extensions. Customs officials will collect the tariffs from day one, no delay.
So any hope of last-minute wiggle room seems gone.
It signals a stark shift, a new era of enforcement, it seems.
Okay, so the terms are set. Trump mentioned being open to post-deadline talks. But it sounds like the starting point is non-negotiable. Like, these are our terms, talk to us after August 1st if you want, but on this basis.
Pretty much a take-it-or-leave-it approach to start, yeah.
And interestingly, this strategy seems to have had some effect already.
Well, the source notes 5 nations have already negotiated new terms ahead of the deadline. Britain, Japan, Vietnam, Indonesia, and the Philippines.
So does that actually validate the U.S. strategy? Prove it works? Or is it just nations feeling the pressure, bending to avoid the tariffs, maybe building up resentment for later?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or maybe the hundreds of billions of dollars question.
Right. Is this kind of unilateral hardball approach sustainable long-term? Could it backfire with retaliatory tariffs from, say, the EU or China?
And that really gets to the heart of the dilemma this policy creates. If you zoom out, the stated goal is explicit. Rewrite global trade rules perceived as unfavorable to American industries.
Which is a huge departure from the way things have generally worked since World War II, right?
Yeah.
Multilateral deals, give and take.
Exactly. That system was built on consensus, reciprocal concessions. This is different. The implications are massive, potentially reshaping not just trade flows, but alliances, supply chains, the whole global economic order.
The message seems to be, align with our new terms if you want continued access to the U.S. market.
Yeah, it highlights the leverage the U.S. is exercising. And this deadline, August 1st, with Trump actually in Europe talking to leaders, it's being framed as this pivotal moment.
To establish what? A new international economic order.
Centered on American interests and industrial revitalization. That's the language being used. It's a clear signal of a move away from those traditional global frameworks towards something more bilateral, more power-centric, maybe more protectionist.
Using economic muscle to achieve specific national goals.
Precisely. Whether it's sustainable, what the long-term fallout will be, that's the big unknown.
So for you listening, whether you're a consumer thinking about prices, a business owner dealing with supply chains, or just watching global affairs, these tariffs could impact a lot.
From product prices to international relations, yeah.
It signals a major shift from the norm in global economics.
Yeah.
Definitely something to watch closely after August 1st.
Absolutely. And, you know, this strong stance on economic sovereignty, it kind of echoes another big move we're seeing, but this time in defense, shaping strategic independence.
Where are we heading now?
To India. And their significant push to boost their naval capabilities.
Oh, okay. What's happening there?
India is moving forward with acquiring 9 cutting-edge submarines. It's under something called Project 75 India, or Peace 75.
9 submarines. That sounds like a major upgrade.
It is. And the primary objective, stated very clearly in the sources, is to counter China's growing presence in the Indian Ocean.
Right. That's a region of huge strategic importance.
Absolutely. And this move reflects what the source calls a growing urgency within the Indian Navy. They need to modernize their fleet, significantly enhance underwater stealth, and boost their deterrence capabilities in the region.
So this isn't just routine modernization. It's a strategic imperative for them.
Seems so, and the scale of investment backs that up. If the Cabinet Committee on Security approves it, they'll initially get 6 advanced subs.
And the cost.
Somewhere between 90,000 crore and 1 trillion.
Wow. That is a staggering amount of money. That signals enormous national priority.
It really does. And the plan doesn't stop at 6. They're planning an additional order for 3 more, about a year after the first contract. It's a sustained buildup.
And the crucial element seems to be stealth. State-of-the-art stealth features.
Exactly. These aren't just any submarines. P-75I is expected to feature advanced air-independent propulsion, AIP systems.
Okay, AIP, what does that mean in practical terms?
It's a game changer. It allows conventional submarines to stay submerged for weeks, not just days, without needing to surface or snorkel to recharge batteries using diesel engines.
So they can stay hidden much, much longer.
Dramatically longer, which massively enhances their stealth, extends their operational range, and makes them a much bigger threat to surface ships or other subs. It's a huge leap in capability.
And that capability is directly aimed at countering potential adversaries, like China's fleet.
That's the core technical reason, yes. In underwater warfare, if you're detected, you're incredibly vulnerable. Stealth, silence, that's everything.
Operating undetected gives you that tactical edge.
Overwhelmingly so. For intelligence gathering, surveillance, special operations, or just projecting power without revealing your position. And this whole initiative is happening as China's naval footprint in the Indian Ocean is growing significantly.
Through their own expanding fleet, port investments.
Right. Port deals in places like Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Djibouti, plus strategic alliances. India's push for these stealthier subs is directly aimed at closing the capability gap with China, especially underwater, and trying to alter that strategic balance.
So enhanced stealth gives India more autonomy, flexibility.
Improved operational autonomy and response flexibility in high-risk scenarios is how the source puts it. They can act more independently, react faster, and more decisively if things get tense. It strengthens their role as a key security provider in the wider Indo-Pacific.
So for you listening, this huge Indian investment isn't just about military hardware. It impacts regional power dynamics, the security of global trade routes through the Indian Ocean, and wider international relations.
It's a very clear signal of India's determination to protect its interests and project influence in these vital waters.
And it's part of a bigger picture, right? A broader recalibration of India's maritime security architecture.
Exactly. It aligns with their push for defense modernization, more domestic production indigenization, and actively counterbalancing rivals in the region. It's a pivotal step in their long-term defense planning.
Shaped by huge investment and clearly some astute strategic thinking about the future. Okay, from those global power dynamics, let's shift focus inward now to vital domestic processes. Democracy, the economy, identity.
Right. Let's start with something absolutely fundamental to how democracy works. Electoral integrity. Voter rolls.
Okay, where are we looking?
Bihar in India. The Election Commission of India, the ECI, has been pushing back against criticisms about its special intensive revision, or SESAR, of the voter lists there.
What sparked the criticism?
Controversy flared up after they released the draft electoral data publicly. That led to claims that lots of voters were about to be disenfranchised, which obviously caused significant public concern.
But the ECI is saying.
They're stressing very clearly, this list is a draft, it is not final, and it's subject to corrections. There's a specific public objection window open from August 1st to September 1st.
So it's just one stage in a longer process.
Exactly. It highlights that these electoral processes are multi-stage, iterative. A draft is the starting point for verification, not the end result.
And the ECI seems a bit surprised by the backlash.
They question the sudden alarm, as they put it. They pointed out that the political parties themselves have over 160,000 booth-level agents, BLAs, available specifically to submit claims or objections if they find errors.
So the mechanism for corrections is already built in. and parties are meant to be part of it.
Right. It emphasizes that robust systems exist to address errors, relying on active participation.
But if it's just a draft and these correction mechanisms exist, why this sudden alarm? Does it point to maybe a lack of trust in the process itself, or is it political maneuvering ahead of the elections?
That's a possibility, but what's really eye-opening are the irregularities the ECI did find during the first phase of this revision.
Like what?
They did house-to-house surveys covering a massive number of electors, 7.24 crore, over 91% of the registered voters in Bihar.
And they found
Get this, 22 lakh deceased voters still on the rolls, 36 lakh who had permanently shifted or were untraceable at their listed address, and over 7 lakh people enrolled in multiple locations.
Wow, add that up.
It's more than 65 lakh entries. That's 8.3% of the entire electorate needing revision. Those are huge numbers.
That really underscores why these revision processes are necessary, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The ECI maintains the whole point of this SIR is to enhance electoral accuracy before the Bihar Assembly election scheduled for November. Officials stress that these house-to-house checks and the transparent objection process are key to preventing both wrongful exclusions and wrongful inclusions.
It's a balancing act.
A very delicate one. You need to clean up the list to stop fraud and duplication, but you absolutely cannot disenfranchise legitimate voters. It's a tightrope walk.
And public trust is crucial for it to work.
Paramount. The ECI is calling for constructive participation instead of premature criticism, arguing the criticism actually undermines an otherwise rigorous democratic exercise. It's a complex, really labor-intensive job ensuring every vote counts.
So for you listening, voter list accuracy isn't just some bureaucratic detail. It's fundamental to fair elections. This situation shows the hard work involved and how important public engagement and trust is for safeguarding democracy.
It really goes to the foundation of the system.
Okay. From the machinery of democracy, let's turn to the economic engine, specifically the tech sector. It seems to be going through its own significant restructuring.
Indeed. We're looking at Tata Consultancy Services, TCS, India's biggest software exporter, a real global giant.
What's the news there?
They're planning to lay off around 12,000 employees. That's about 2% of their global workforce planned for this fiscal year.
12,000 jobs, that's substantial. Any particular roles targeted?
Yeah, the sources say it's targeting middle and senior level staff specifically, often roles people think of as more stable.
And the timing, is this just cost-cutting or part of something bigger?
Well, TCS is framing it as coinciding with their broader push to become a future-ready organization.
Future-ready? We hear that phrase a lot in tech. What does it actually mean in practice here?
It generally implies a fundamental shakeup of how they structure their workforce, how they deploy talent, aligning everything towards new tech landscapes, especially AI, and changing market demands. It's presented as a strategic transformation, not just a reaction to, say, a bad quarter.
And this isn't happening in isolation, is it? There were recent changes to their HR policies, too.
That's right, and they caused quite a stir. TCS mandated a minimum of 225 billable days per employee annually.
225 billable days. Okay, unpack that.
Billable days are days spent working directly on client projects that generate revenue for TCS. They also capped bench time, the time an employee might spend between projects, waiting for the next assignment at just 35 days.
Whoa, so much less downtime allowed between projects. A much tighter focus on immediate revenue generation from every employee.
Exactly. It implies much stricter, more data-driven control over employee utilization. Maximum efficiency seems to be the goal.
That sounds like intense pressure. Yeah. It basically turns the workforce into this high-performance engine where any time not directly earning money for the company is, well, frowned upon.
That captures the shift, yeah. Less room for perhaps internal projects, training, or just regrouping between demanding assignments.
It must drive internal competition for those billable projects, too. Could change the whole culture, making a stable career feel more like a constant sprint to prove your worth.
That's certainly a potential consequence. TCS says these measures are all aimed at adapting to evolving technology, expanding into new markets, deploying AI at scale, modernizing infrastructure, and deepening partnerships, all part of this revamped workforce model.
So it's driven by AI, new markets, efficiency, a strategic overhaul.
Correct. And they did emphasize, despite the layoffs, that the transition is being managed with sensitivity. They've pledged benefits like outplacement services, counseling, support for those affected.
Trying to cushion the blow.
And they also reassured clients that service delivery wouldn't be compromised. But this whole situation, it really reflects a larger trend within India's IT sector. Firms across the board are rapidly recalibrating staffing models. They're responding to automation, AI integration, taking over certain tasks, and just shifting client demands towards different kinds of skills.
It highlights that tension, doesn't it, between pushing for efficiency, adopting new tech, and the human cost, the workforce displacement.
Absolutely. It raises big questions about corporate responsibility, the employer-employee relationship, the future of work itself as technology advances so quickly. Even giants like TCS have to adapt, and that adaptation often involves these really difficult choices.
So for you listening, if you work in tech, these kinds of policies and shifts directly impact your career path.
Yeah,
The pressure to constantly upskill, stay billable, it's real.
definitely.
And even if you're not in tech, it's a powerful indicator of how automation and AI are forcing companies everywhere to rethink their operations and the tough decisions that come with it.
It's a global phenomenon.
Okay. From the future of work, let's explore something maybe more philosophical. How a nation grapples with its own identity, looking to its past to define itself today.
This takes us to a significant discussion happening in India about national identity, focusing on the name of the country itself.
The Bharat imperative, as the outline calls it.
Right. The chief of the RSS, Mohan Bhagwat, and just for context for our global listeners, the RSS, Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, is a major Hindu nationalist organization in India.
Okay. What did he say?
In a speech in Kochi, Kerala, he emphasized the cultural and civilizational importance of preserving the name Bharat as it is. He asserted it's a proper noun, intrinsic to India's identity, and it should not be translated.
Interesting. India's constitution uses both names, doesn't it? India, that is Bharat.
Exactly. Bhagwat acknowledged that constitutional phrase holds true, but he urged people to consistently use Bharat in both writing and speech, arguing this is necessary to uphold its intrinsic identity.
What's the deeper significance he attaches to the name Bharat?
He argued it carries profound historical and philosophical weight that gets diluted or lost if you just use India, which has, more colonial-era associations for some. He expressed concern that losing this core identity represented by the name Bharat could diminish India's respect and security on the global stage.
How does a name connect to respect and security?
He cited a thumb rule of international recognition, suggesting a nation's identity must remain unaltered, starting with its name, to command genuine esteem. It's about projecting an authentic, rooted identity.
And this aligns with the broader ideology of the RSS.
Clearly, it fits right into the broader RSS and cultural nationalist ideologies that champion indigenous heritage, language, and tradition. It's an effort to reinforce unity around India's ancient civilizational roots.
And connects to other ongoing debates, education reform, history.
Absolutely. It's all part of shaping that national narrative.
So why does a name carry such weight? It's about symbolism, isn't it?
Fundamentally, names, symbols, they're incredibly potent tools in shaping how a nation sees itself and how it wants the world to see it.
And this call from Bhagwat is likely to stir things up.
Oh, it's expected to spark renewed political and intellectual discourse, especially among those who've been advocating for formally adopting Bharat as the primary or even sole official name.
It highlights that tension between preserving cultural heritage, reclaiming history, and maybe a more outward-facing cosmopolitan identity.
Exactly. It's a deep discussion touching on heritage, sovereignty, cultural pride, and how a diverse nation like India defines its collective self.
Fascinating stuff. And speaking of national identity and heritage, there's another major initiative underway, focused on preserving ancient knowledge.
Yes, this is the Gyan Bharatam Mission, recently launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Gyan Bharatam, what's the goal?
It's a major, really ambitious project to digitize and preserve India's ancient manuscripts. The plan is to create a comprehensive national digital repository.
Digitizing ancient manuscripts.
Yeah.
Sounds like a monumental task.
Yeah. It really is. Modi announced it during his Man Ki Baat radio program. He called these manuscripts chapters of India's soul and stressed they should be made accessible to students and researchers worldwide.
So not just preserving them, but sharing them globally.
That's a key part of the vision, highlighting their cultural and intellectual value as a global asset. And the scale is just huge. The mission aims to digitally archive over 1 crore manuscripts.
1 crore. That's 10 million manuscripts.
10 million, scattered across the country, many in fragile condition, maybe in small monasteries or private collections.
And the funding reflects that ambition.
It seems so. The funding was dramatically increased. It went from around 3.5 crore initially budgeted to 60 crore now. This wasn't just announced on the radio show, it was first unveiled in the Union budget back in June, showing it's a planned strategic priority.
Modi framed it as part of a broader push.
Yeah, to unlock and promote India's civilizational knowledge tradition. It's about actively presenting India's intellectual heritage to the world.
How does this fit into wider government efforts?
Well, it complements broader government efforts toward cultural conservation and digital innovation. It really shows India's strategy of using technology for knowledge preservation on an unprecedented scale.
The technical challenges must be immense. These aren't just printed books.
Exactly. We're talking about fragile palm leaves, birch bark scrolls, centuries old, written in dozens of ancient scripts, maybe languages that aren't widely spoken today.
So it's not just scanning.
Oh no. It's meticulous conservation first, then high-resolution imaging, then developing sophisticated optical character recognition OCR that can even read ancient scripts that might not have modern digital fonts, and then building an intuitive, searchable database accessible globally.
A true marriage of ancient wisdom and cutting-edge tech.
Precisely. This repository is meant to be a digital gateway to India's intellectual heritage, opening up texts on philosophy, science, medicine, spiritual traditions.
And the potential impact.
It's expected to profoundly influence education, research, public discussion about national identity, civilizational pride. Its long-term impact could genuinely redefine how India communicates its history and values, both at home and abroad, moving from just being ancient to actively sharing ancient wisdom with the modern world.
So for you listening, imagine a world where this vast trove of ancient knowledge, previously hidden away, is suddenly accessible with a few clicks.
It opens up incredible new avenues for learning, for research connecting different fields, for cross-cultural understanding, making a rich heritage truly global.
A potentially transformative initiative.
Yeah.
Okay. From preserving the past, let's move to a very contemporary political debate. This one highlights the intense scrutiny that national security and foreign policy often face.
Yeah, let's dive into this heated political discourse. It's essentially a battle of narratives between India's ruling party, the BJP, and the main opposition Congress leader, Rahul Gandhi.
What's the flashpoint?
It revolves around India's global support or alleged lack thereof following a significant terror attack in Pahalgam back on April 22nd.
Okay, what's the BJP's accusation?
They've strongly criticized Rahul Gandhi, accusing him of basically echoing Pakistan's stance by suggesting India found itself isolated internationally after that attack. The BJP's Amit Malviya specifically accused Gandhi of promoting a narrative harmful to India's global image and national unity.
And what was Gandhi's actual critique? What did he say?
His criticism centered on the government's handling and narrative surrounding Operation Sindoor.
Operation Sindoor, that was the counterterrorism operation launched after the Pahalgam attack, right?
Yeah.
Targeting militant infrastructure.
Exactly. Gandhi suggested there were inconsistencies in official statements about the operation. He claimed India failed to garner sufficient international backing in its aftermath.
On what basis did he claim that?
He pointed to what he called conflicting accounts and specifically referenced former U.S. President Donald Trump's repeated claims of halting the operation as evidence of ambiguity and, well, a lack of clear, unified international support for India's actions.
This kind of political back and forth is normal, maybe, but it feels much heavier when it's about national security and international standing.
It absolutely does, and that's why the BJP's rebuttal was so swift and detailed. Malviya went point by point to counter Gandhi's claims, painting a picture of strong global solidarity with India.
Like, what examples did he give?
He highlighted the U.S. calling the attack abhorrent, and crucially, the U.S. designating the Lashkar-e-Taiba proxy group, the Resistance Front, or TRF, as a terrorist outfit. The BJP framed that designation as a significant diplomatic win for India, directly contradicting the idea of isolation.
Okay, there you go.
He mentioned French President Macron reportedly offering full support, Russian President Putin calling PM Modi, and Russia's consistent efforts in the UN Security Council to block anti-India proposals, and the UK joining the G7 in condemning the attack as a violation of global peace.
So a comprehensive list aimed at showing widespread international backing.
Exactly. It serves two purposes: defend India's diplomatic position and portray Gandhi's critique as misinformed, damaging, and undermining national unity.
And this isn't just political theater, is it? There are real consequences.
Right. This whole exchange comes just ahead of a crucial parliamentary debate on the Pahalgam terror attack and Operation Sindoor. Key figures from both government and opposition are expected to speak. The stakes are very high.
It really highlights that tightrope an opposition party walks in a democracy, doesn't it? How do you hold the government accountable on something as sensitive as national security, question their narrative, without being accused of weakening the country's position?
It's an incredibly delicate balance, and this situation clearly shows how different political actors try to strategically shape public perception about foreign relations, about national strength, often using major events like this attack to build their preferred narrative.
So for you listening, this exchange is a real window into how critical events become these political battlegrounds. And it underlines how important it is for citizens to look critically at information from all sides, understand the potential motivations behind the claims.
Absolutely vital. It's a constant interplay of accountability, security concerns, and the shaping of public opinion. Okay, from those heated political debates, we have to pivot now to something quite different and sadly quite tragic. A stark reminder about public safety.
This is the headline from Haridwar, isn't it?
Yes, a stampede at the Mansa Devi temple there during the Hindu Sawan month pilgrimage.
And the outcome was devastating.
Tragically, yes. 7 devotees were killed and somewhere between 25 and 30 others were injured.
And the timing. It happened on a busy Sunday, a peak pilgrimage period.
Yeah.
Thousands of people would have been there.
Exactly. That extreme crowd density immediately signals a high-risk situation.
What triggered it? Do we know?
The sources point to overcrowding, specifically in the temple's narrow entry and exit lanes, as the trigger for the panic.
So a bottleneck situation.
Precisely, and compounding that, there was torrential rain and steep access paths, making conditions even worse. Difficult for people to move safely, easy to slip, hard to get out of the way quickly. It was a confluence of really dangerous factors.
Just a terrible combination. What was the immediate response?
Local police and administration teams reportedly responded quickly, transporting the injured to hospitals, trying to restore calm. But the Haridwar senior superintendent of police confirmed investigations started immediately to determine whether crowd control protocols had failed.
So they're looking into the official procedures.
Yes, and the regional commissioner was also sent to lead rescue efforts and, importantly, evaluate the existing safety mechanisms. It indicates a serious, high-level review of the systemic issues.
Because this isn't just a one-off freak accident, is it? It feels like a recurring challenge with massive gatherings, especially religious ones.
It absolutely is, particularly in places, often ancient pilgrimage sites, where the infrastructure just wasn't designed for the sheer volume of people who come today. Officials noted the Sawan month inherently draws large numbers, demanding heightened vigilance and well-coordinated infrastructure.
This tragedy has raised critical questions about preparedness, hasn't it? About the ability of local authorities to actually anticipate and manage these huge crowd surges.
Exactly. It's that shift from just reacting when something goes wrong to proactively preventing it in the first place.
What kind of preventative measures could even work in a place like that? It's often a sacred site, maybe centuries old. Could you just widen paths or install crowd monitoring tech?
That's the huge challenge. There are calls now for stronger, more proactive safety measures. Things like expanded infrastructure, maybe real-time crowd monitoring systems, but implementing those in historically and religiously sensitive locations is incredibly complex.
You need to balance safety with reverence, tradition.
Precisely. But this somber event is such a powerful reminder of the vulnerabilities in managing these large-scale public events. It underscores the absolute critical need for robust crowd management plans, adequate infrastructure that can handle peak loads, and maybe even fostering more individual responsibility within crowds.
A potent, tragic lesson.
While the investigations continue, it really drives home the urgent need for better safety planning and execution, especially at these high-risk, high-density pilgrimage sites. It might even require rethinking the urban planning around some of these sacred spaces to prioritize safety without losing their spiritual essence. A very difficult but necessary conversation.
Indeed. And that, unfortunately, brings us toward the close of today's deep dive into the headlines from July 27th. So there you have it, a whirlwind, but hopefully insightful tour through just some of the defining stories from that one Sunday. We've touched on incredible human resilience on the cricket pitch.
Yeah, that was compelling.
The powerful ripples of global trade policies potentially reshaping alliances, a nation's strategic commitment to defending its waters, the complex intricacies of ensuring electoral integrity.
Definitely complex.
The sometimes challenging evolution of tech employment, those profound debates about national identity rooted deep in history, ambitious projects using tech to preserve ancient wisdom.
The Gyan Bharatam Mission, yeah.
And finally, that tragic, sobering reminder about the vital importance of public safety in crowded spaces.
And each of these stories, though they seem so different on the surface, they really offer a critical glimpse into the forces shaping our world, don't they?
How so?
Whether it's that, indomitable human spirit overcoming adversity like in the cricket, or the calculated strategic decisions of leaders impacting trade or defense, or the relentless march of technology changing jobs and preserving knowledge,
Yeah.
or those deep, deep connections to culture and heritage that define who we are.
It really stands out, that constant push and pull you see in these headlines between like ambition and reality, tradition and innovation, the individual experience versus these huge global impacts.
They're all threads in the same complex tapestry of life today.
Absolutely.
And maybe that leaves a question for you listening to sort of mull over after we finish. How do these daily headlines, when you take them together, how do they really paint a true picture of where we are? Both the progress we're making and the challenges that persist in this incredibly interconnected world. And maybe what role do you see yourself playing in just understanding or perhaps even responding to some of these big shifts?
That's a great thought to leave people with. We really hope this deep dive has given you plenty to think about, connecting those individual news items with the bigger, more nuanced picture.
Hope so too.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.